Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for Monday, December 28th, 2021. I have a meeting announcement. Council will be meeting in a hybrid format until further notice. We encourage speakers to continue joining virtually as there will be a limited number of seats available in council chambers. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Coghill.
Here.
Ms. Gross.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Here.
Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. O'Connor.
Here.
Strasburger.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Cal Smith, President.
Here.
9 members present.
Thank you. As we join from our remote locations, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty,
Justice for all.
Thank you. And our next order of business is proclamations. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. We need a motion to mention. We want to do that first, Madam Clerk? Okay. Our first order of business before we get to the proclamations is Councilman O'Connor. You have a motion to waive the rules of council to add.
Yes,
Bill
thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to waive the rules on Bill 1815 so that we can amend and final vote at this meeting.
Second.
Do we have a second? We said second, Councilman Lavelle. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This bill will appear on the end of the meeting today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Our next order of business is proclamations, and I have two to be presented, and one is to Chief of Staff Gilman, who's joining us virtually, and the other is for Mayor Peduto, who'll be joining us in person shortly.
Council President Cal Smith and all members present, whereas Dan Gilman was elected as District 8 Council Member of the City of Pittsburgh in 2013 after serving as Chief of Staff to then Councilman Bill Peduto and re-elected to a second term. He resigned early in 2018 to accept the position of Mayor Peduto's Chief of Staff. And whereas during his tenure as a council member, he has had the opportunity to work with city departments to address neighborhood issues from flooding to potholes to student housing, and he has written numerous legislation pieces to protect the environment, grow businesses, and promote diversity and transparency. And whereas since 2018, Mr. Gilman has been responsible for carrying out the mayor's vision for the city, which includes the oversight of leadership and operations of all city departments. And whereas Mr. Gilman has worked with Mayor Peduto on efforts to modernize city government, improve city services, develop Pittsburgh's economy, and bring opportunities to the residents of the city of Pittsburgh. And whereas Mr. Gilman was selected to join the New Deal, a national network committed to highlighting pragmatic progressive with innovative ideas at the state and local level. He was also named Vice Chair of the National League of Cities University Communities Council. And whereas Dan is known for his impeccable work ethic and his dedication to the city of Pittsburgh is unparalleled. He has been recognized as one of Pittsburgh's 40 under 40 by Pittsburgh Magazine and Pittsburgh Urban Magnet Project, as well as one of Pittsburgh's 50 finest by World Magazine. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby recognize and commend Dan Gilman for his commitment to the City of Pittsburgh and his tireless work for Pittsburgh and its neighborhoods. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Tuesday, December 28th, 2021, to be Mr. Dan Gilman Day in the City of Pittsburgh.
Have a motion to approve in a second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you, members. And I just want to say this was sponsored by all members of council. And so we're going to let members each say something. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for reading that. We're going to start with Councilman Burgess.
So I'll be very brief. First of all, Dan, we've worked together during my whole time on council, both when you were legislative aide to then Councilman Peduto, and then as a councilman in your own right, as chief of staff. Not only did we develop a close working relationship, we became close friends. As I am grateful that you are transitioning to Duquesne University, where two of my children are currently enrolled in graduate school. And so I'm glad that even though you'll be in a different aspect, you will still be responsible for part of my family. And we're looking forward to having continued interest. So you're a great person. I know that you still have great things in front of you. I also, at these times, I try to be a little bit prophetic. I'm not sure this is the end or just the end of your service in government. I think this is just a transition. And I look forward to the next chapter, the next couple chapters of your life. Thank you very much for your commitment, your intelligence, and your integrity. I look forward to our continued friendship. Congratulations on your past success. Looking forward to all the best wishes in the future.
Thank you, Councilman Burgess and Councilman Lavelle.
Thank you, Madam President. It's been truly a privilege to work alongside you, Dan. I've got to work with you as a legislative aide, as a council person, and then as the chief of staff for the mayor, and it's truly been a privilege. I thank you for your dedication and your service over about 15 years or so to the city of Pittsburgh. And we just thank you for your tireless advocacy and all that you've done for the city. And I truly look forward to working with you. We joked, and when I discovered you were going to Duquesne, that I had some ideas. So as soon as you get there, we'll set up a meeting so we can begin working. But again, just thank you for your years of service. It's been a privilege to consider you both a friend and a colleague. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And Mayor Peduto, you can come up here. Mayor Peduto just came in too. Councilman Kraus.
Good morning. Good morning, Dan. I'll take a little more relaxed approach. You know, there is nobody in the world like you. You are one in a million, and I have treasured your friendship and mentorship over the years. We couldn't have done it without you. Morning, noon, night, it never mattered. Pick up the phone, call Dan, tell him whatever was going on at that moment in time. And Dan was always Johnny on the spot to be there to assist. Something many people probably don't know about Dan is if you're ever with him in his office and he sees more than 3 or 4 emails in his inbox, he goes absolutely mad and cannot rest until those are cleared. If Dan ever saw my email, I think he might pass out because it doesn't look anything like that. But, I love you to death, Dan. I'm going to miss you terribly, but we will always remain friends. And we will always remain friends. Wish you all the very best, Dan. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thanks,
I'm trying to go now according to seniority. So Councilwoman Gross. Anything you want?
I am here. Do I really have that much seniority that I'm right after Councilman?
Oh boy, how did that happen? Huh?
Councilman Burgess.
And Chief Gilman, I'm going to reiterate what everyone else says, and I'm going to tell the same joke that I've always told, and now it's getting a little old because we're much older, which is that I always say, dear God, how old were you when I first met you? Because there had been so much time that has gone by, and I've said that so many times. So you have devoted your life so far to the city of Pittsburgh, your professional life, and we really honor you for that, and we thank you for that. And you have many, many years ahead of you because you're still so darn young. And you must have started when you were 12, which is the same old joke that I've been telling now for years. I really, again, more than most of us put together about all the different various ways that the city works. And you've kept us running. And I do hope that if there's anything I hope for you is that you get to spend more time with your family in your next role. So good luck to you, and I look forward to working with you further in the future.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman O'Connor, I believe, is next since you're. Councilman O'Connor?
I'm multitasking here, sorry, as Dan would know. Obviously we've served together. We had a lot of fun together over the years. I think one of my favorite times was when you made me freeze almost to death doing the ice bucket challenge. But that was the type of relationship we had. We did a lot of things outside of council, which made it a lot more fun. But I think besides the mayor, and maybe he can actually say this, I think you had the toughest job because you got calls from council members at all times. And there was a moment where you needed to react and you always did it. And I think that's the leadership that you had in learning from the mayor, but also that you grew as the chief of staff and council in the mayor's office, as well as then when you were elected and then went over to be his chief of staff. Really good friend, owe you a lot of projects in my district and across the city would not have gotten done without you and your support. So, take this 2 days off, I think you said, and then get started on your next job. But I'm sure we'll be working together soon. You're going to a great place, but we are definitely going to miss you to get a lot of projects done down here. And I just want to thank you for your friendship and everything that you did for the city of Pittsburgh. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. And I believe Councilman Coghill?
Thank you, Madam President. Hey, Dan, I'll keep it short. I've not been through a mayoral transition as of yet, I will say. If there's one thing that I have a discomfort with, it is that I can't pick up the phone and call you. You've been so responsive to me in my district as to what our needs are. And the mayor did a great job in bringing you aboard. I think your legacy is out there for everybody to see. Again, if there's anything that's given me a little bit of anxiety as to, the next administration, which I have confidence that they are going to have competent people as well. But I think there's only one Dan Gilman. And I just wanted to thank you for always responding to me and always being there for me. And good luck at Duquesne and what lies beyond that possibly. So I look forward to seeing what you do. Thank you.
Councilwoman Strasburger?
Thank you, Madam President. Dan, I think people throw this phrase around a lot, but I can honestly say that I would not be here were it not for you. You helped bring me into city government and spark my interest in serving as a public servant. And I'm so very grateful to you for that. And just like everyone has said, you have a legacy and you've done so much for the city, and you're one of the people who is unique in part because you care so much about the city. You have the intelligence and strategy, but also the emotional intelligence to have done the jobs that you've done here. And that is really, really unique and amazing. And I think another legacy you have that hasn't really been mentioned is the number of people you've taken under your wing and inspired. And then, especially those who have served in your capacity as chief of staff to the mayor have now been sent out into the world outside of the city of Pittsburgh and are doing great things for other places, but still have that same love that you share for the city of Pittsburgh. So, and a desire to make it a better place. So I know we'll continue to talk. I value your friendship. I value your counsel, and I'm glad you're a neighbor. And I'm going to brace for the 311 calls that I'm inevitably going to get from you day and night now that you're no longer at the city for District 8. So no, in all seriousness, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing what's next for you in your next chapter.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I know Dan Gilman's mind's probably racing because he told me the mayor has to be out of here by 10:30. Councilman Wilson?
Oh, I better hurry up then. Dan, it's been a pleasure. The North Side is better because of you, and you carrying the mayor's vision. Pittsburgh as a whole is better for that as well. But just as a side note, it's been comforting throughout the pandemic, especially since that's been most of my time at council, to just have, side conversations with you and build a friendship on really what our families are going through and what's happening personally. So it's been really insightful for me, especially being as a new member, to see, given all the responsibilities that, everything that, I see that you're still committed to your family and what you do and everything. And just the similarities there. But I just want to mention just the responsiveness. I know everyone's talked about it, but I mean, this is easily the hardest working man I've known as my time as a councilman. And, in city government, energy counts, and, Dan has it in spades. So every resident in the city of Pittsburgh is better because of Dan has worked here in City Hall. And I know I'm appreciative, and I think that, the city is as well. And, that will not be forgotten. So I wish you all the best in your next endeavor. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and look forward to see everything you can achieve.
Thank you, Councilman. And it's my turn, but I just want to say, I'm going to be brief because of the mayor, but Dan, everybody said everything about you that we could say. You are the hardest working person in government, and probably in private sector. I think Duquesne University is going to be extremely fortunate to have you join them. And it is definitely a loss for the city of Pittsburgh, because you are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I cannot tell people, when I say that, I mean, it sounds like that's not even accurate, but I mean, I have received responses back at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning from Dan Gilman that immediately yielded results for the residents. And residents said to me, I hope Dan Gilman's staying. And I said, that's not the way this works. But I said, I think that he'll be back in some capacity, in some type of elected role somewhere down the line. I think that gives everybody a little bit of hope to know that you may be back, if not in city government, in some type of government, running for a public office, because you are a true public servant. So thank you very much for everything, and for your friendship, and all the work that you do for every one of our districts throughout the years. And with that said, I'm going to present Mayor Peduto's proclamation. Dan, I'll give you a chance to say something back, and then we're going to present the mayors. So you want to say something real quick, and then we'll present the mayor, say something to the mayor, and everybody can talk to the mayor.
Well, thank you, Council President and members. First of all, it breaks my heart that I'm not there in person with all of you. The last 2 years have robbed us of a lot of opportunity, in this country of a lot of opportunity. And so sad that I can't be there with all of you to celebrate. First of all, I want to thank my wife, Amanda, and my kids, Sam and Tessa. You all commented on the 24/7 nature of this job. And as many of you on this call know, you can't do that with an incredibly supportive family behind you. One of the things I learned when I became chief of staff is in this role, you get paged by 911 based off severity of an incident. And, I probably get paged, 10 times a day or so. And not surprisingly, many of those are in the middle of the night. And so I think the number one thing my wife looks forward to is my cell phone not going off in the middle of the night, because I've learned to sleep through it and it still wakes her. So I couldn't have done it without them, and I want to thank them. It is 18 years as a full city employee. I started, to Councilwoman Gross's point, as an intern, as a 20-year-old intern in Councilman Peduto's office 19 years ago, when she and I first worked together, and Councilman Lavelle was Councilman Udin's chief of staff at the time, and Councilman O'Connor's father was around City Hall. And so it was a long time with many of you, working as friends and colleagues. And the most important and powerful thing is many of us will be friends for a lifetime out of this. People joke, unfortunately, about government and bureaucracy. And what I can say is I chose City Hall after experience at other levels of government, because it was where things got done that helped people. And it wouldn't happen without 3,400 of the hardest working, most dedicated public servants anyone could ever find. I won't even begin to try to name them for time and leaving people out, but the men and women who serve this city day in and day out on Christmas, on holidays, in rain, sleet, or snow, do it out of love of the city. And the only reason I was able to do my job was because I picked up the phone and called someone else. There was always another city employee there to serve the residents. And it has been truly the honor of a lifetime to serve alongside of them to help the residents. What I will miss most is working with each of you on the issues that you've talked about. I love nothing more than getting in the car and going for a drive to, a neighborhood I may not even know that well, to take pictures of those city steps that are broken and send them to Tom Samstag in the morning, or to be out in a storm looking where the flooding's occurring. That gave me joy, and seeing progress made and lives improved is why I came to city government. And I will miss that part, and working alongside of you dearly to do that. And I have to thank Mayor Peduto. He took a shot at me as a 20-year-old college student when I lobbied him as student government at Carnegie Mellon to help us fight the county and not letting the 28X be eliminated in our first meeting. And he offered me an internship out of that. And out of an internship, timing was right and I got a job offer. And I had the chance to work with him in council and learn, then to serve as your colleague, and now in the mayor's administration. And Mayor Peduto's vision for Pittsburgh is one I have always believed deeply in. And it's been my honor to try to implement that. And I leave City Hall after 18 years with great confidence that this city is stronger, it's more resilient, it is a global leader, it is in a better economic financial position, it's more equitable. And that is because of the mayor's vision, because of the support of council members as a proper check and balance and partner, and because of the most dedicated men and women you could ever ask for to serve. So thank you, members. It's been an honor, a privilege, and I got to live out my dream in the first half of my career. I don't know what's in the next 30 or 40 years of professional achievement, but nothing will ever top these past 18 years. So thank you so much, and I look forward to celebrating in person when it's safe to do so.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor, did you want to say anything to him? Okay, I just want to, again, thank you. And we're going to present the mayor's proclamation now, and then we'll probably say a lot more after this, but I know this is not the end, Dan Gilman. I just want to thank you again for your tremendous dedication to the city of Pittsburgh. And now the mayor's proclamation. Whereas William Peduto began working in the city of Pittsburgh in 1995 as chief of staff for then Councilman Dan Cohen. He then pursued the City Council District 8 seat and was elected to serve in 2001, and was later reelected in 2005 and again in 2009. And whereas during his time on council, Mr. Peduto wrote the most comprehensive package of government reform legislation and spearheaded many green initiatives in the city of Pittsburgh. He was also involved in over $2 billion in redevelopment, which created hundreds of jobs and helped transform the city's East End. And whereas on January 6, 2014, Bill Peduto became the 60th mayor of the city of Pittsburgh and was sworn into a second term on January 3rd, 2018. As mayor, Mr. Peduto maintained fiscal responsibility. He really did too. And becoming a leader, he told me no all the time. Becoming a leader in green initiatives, enhancing communities, embracing innovative solutions, and being committed to modernizing city government and making Pittsburgh a leading 21st century city. And whereas under Peduto's leadership, the city of Pittsburgh has formed strategic partnerships with technology leaders and others, which has facilitated innovation and growth in the city and encouraged career paths and innovation in technology for our youth. And whereas the Peduto administration provided taxpayers with an efficient, effective, transparent, and more accountable government, the city's procurement process underwent a complete overhaul, and the Department of Permits and License and Inspections was reorganized. And whereas Peduto set priorities around strengthening Pittsburgh's 90 communities by establishing community-based development plans and establishing the Bureau of Neighborhood Empowerment to promote the city's role in housing, small business, and education. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Mayor Peduto's administration made plans to issue more than 12 million in new federal funds to organizations supporting residents and small businesses impacted by the pandemic. And now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby commend and honor Mayor Bill Peduto for his years of public service to the City of Pittsburgh. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Tuesday, December 28th, 2021 to be Mayor Peduto, William Peduto Day in the City of Pittsburgh. Have a motion to approve in a second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mayor Peduto. You want to, we're going to start with members to have them say a few words and then you. Okay. And we're going to start this one with Councilman Kraus.
Oh, hey, good morning, Mayor. I had an opportunity to meet with the mayor last Thursday, and we were able to spend some time together just as friends to recognize one another's support and friendship through the years. As Councilwoman Strasburger mentioned earlier, I would not have been here if it were not for the help and the support, the mentorship, the friendship of Bill Peduto. He was instrumental in helping me to acquire the seat and to stay in the seat. I will never ever forget him, nor his profound impact on this city and on my life. I am a better man for having known him and having been able to call him a friend over the years. So, Bill, I wish you all the very best in the world, and I'll never forget you. And my most sincere thanks for again your friendship over the years, and I'm always here for you, and just a phone call away. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. I wanted to start with you because I know that Mayor Peduto and Dan Gilman mentioned that they think of you as family, so I wanted to start with you, not just friends. With that said, we'll start with Councilman. We'll go on to Councilman Burgess, Councilman Lavelle, in the same order that we had before, other than Councilman Kraus. Councilman.
Very short, because I don't think this is goodbye. I think that you'll continually be working on the issues that you are passionate about. I think we'll continue to partner together. I would say that our partnership has resulted in some of the most transformational things for the African-American community in the history of the city, from Lawmer Choice to just all of the development that we've been able to do in Avenues of Hope, which is yet to be done. But in those multiple things we've done, all the public safety stuff we've done, we've actually transformed together this city. You're my friend, you're my colleague, my brother, and I think that we'll still be working together in the future. And you're still a young man, and so again, I'm not sure what you'll do moving forward in terms of this government life, but I'm 100% sure you'll be working with governments both here and across the country to be more effective and more efficient. Thank you for your service. Thank you for our friendship. And I look forward to even a continued relationship working together.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Lavelle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Peduto, for your years of service to our city. Chief Gilman said it in his remarks and listed sort of the myriad of reasons why, but this city is absolutely a better place because of you and what you've done over the years. I personally want to thank you, especially the last 2-3 years, for our partnership to make this city a more equitable and just city. And I believe we've absolutely done that. I don't know what's next, but I look forward to hopefully being able to continue working with you moving forward in whatever capacity there may be in whatever role you may have. Again, thank you for your years of service. It has truly meant a lot to me and to this city.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman O'Connor.
Okay, hold on. I'm coming. Sorry, multitasking here. I got multiple people here today. So I would just like to thank you. I sat next to you, learned a lot from you. What you know about the city, its history, really went and showed what your vision was of our city and what you did and how you transformed us, got us out of a lot of budget crisis, moved the city forward on a number of initiatives, started with transit, green infrastructure, things that we weren't thinking of before you became the mayor. And I really, as a friend, have to thank you for learning from you, working together on some great legislation over the years, fighting organizations. Gun violence is one that I thought of right away. Just your leadership throughout that incident that we had. You really showed leadership in caring about this city because you are a Pittsburgher and you really love this job. And the things that are going to happen over the next 10 years started with you. So I really want to thank you for all of that. I actually found my Peduto bottle of wine, so I can hopefully drink that later. But I also, where I'm at today, I actually have a guest that wanted to say thank you as well. So let me just pass it off to my mom.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Bill. Now I'm going to say something on a personal note, that you've been so kind to us, and all those kind words you always say about Bob meant so much to us. And I want to wish you the best of luck. And you did such a wonderful job as the mayor. We're all going to miss you in Pittsburgh. And we're still, you can contact us anytime. Keep us informed of what's going on with you. And best of luck. Love you. Love you.
Thank you, Mayor. Take care. Good luck.
Councilman Cogco has to follow her. Thank you, Mrs. O'Connor. Who? You, Councilman.
Okay.
Cogco.
In the spirit of time and to get you on your way, I'll be really brief. When I came into office, we knew each other somewhat, but, I didn't know how it would be working with you. From every department head, from the way you come to my district and you listen to the concerns of my district, and the achievements that we have there speak for themselves on Broadway Avenue in Brookline and Carrick. I just quite simply want to say thank you. It's been a delight to work with you.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Wilson, and then I think I have Strasburg and Wilson. Councilman Wilson, then Councilwoman Strasburger.
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor Peduto, it's what can I say? It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your service for the past 8 years, but then also, the decades that you've served as previous as a councilman and chief of staff to the council person that you work for. I really want to touch on the moment when I came into office. A lot of members said, you have no idea what it was like prior to Mayor Peduto being here. And I was like, I don't understand it, but as we went on, it made sense because we were able to get so much done. We were able to accomplish things in a timely fashion. Your whole team worked together to accomplish the same goal. Council worked with you to accomplish the similar goals as well that we believe that were important for Pittsburgh. And it was just a great process to be a part of. And just as the newest member of council, I just had the pleasure of being in city council during these times, and I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you just for bringing Pittsburgh into really shepherding this city into the 21st century. I think that there's countless things that I see that are important for Pittsburgh. I remember back in 2015, whenever I ran, I said something to the effect to you that probably was totally ridiculous. I said, oh, I think it's great that you're bringing in, there was like a tech program where people could learn code. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. But it was like, just rolls off your agenda. It's something that you want to do. It was, one of 100 things you're doing. But I just thought that was, back in 2015, I thought that was just a thinking of all the little small pieces that really try to involve most of Pittsburghers. So I just want to thank you for everything you've done and really the great city that you left us with. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in your next chapter. So thank you for everything and that you've done for Pittsburgh, and I wish you all the best in your next endeavors.
Thank you. And I believe I missed Councilwoman Gross. I apologize, Councilwoman Gross. And then Councilwoman Strasburg.
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor Peduto, it seems it was just a few weeks ago that you were in chambers, and we got to say our thank yous then as well. But we're here to honor your commitment to the city. We know how much you love and have devoted yourself in these many decades now to the city of Pittsburgh, and we want to thank you for that. And I recalled, excuse my dog who's upset about something. I recalled when we were in chambers just a few weeks ago that we met first when you were the chief of staff to Councilman Dan Cohen, and I was there looking for a letter of support to the UV Loop, and you were very excited about it. And I think I didn't add that after I was elected in 2013 and you were sworn in as mayor in January of 2014, that you had each council member out to over to your office to meet with all of your new directors and chiefs. And we were to discuss our districts and to, kind of let the chiefs and directors know kind of what the issues were in the neighborhoods that we represent. But I felt like you gave me like homework, because you had represented part of my district for some time, and you told me to do a master plan for Bloomfield and to bring back the UV Loop. So these are still unaccomplished goals, but we're getting close on some of them at least. And I want to acknowledge once again, I thank you for your service to the city, and I look forward to seeing what you'll do next. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Strasburger.
Thank you. Mayor Peduto, I want to thank you for setting the example of what it looks like to be a scholar mayor. You've had this vision for Pittsburgh since before you were a mayor. I'll never forget, I wasn't even involved in government at the time, but I never forgot that you released 100 policy papers for 100 days leading up to your your successful election in 2014. And you probably accomplished all of them. I mean, I hope that you have taken stock of what you've accomplished. And if you haven't, if someone else out there can pull together the probably numbering thousands of policies and changes you've made to the city of Pittsburgh to make it a better place, all of that adds up to you really having a vision, sticking to it, and being unflappable in your pursuit of that vision for the city of Pittsburgh. As Councilman Wilson said, making it a 21st century city. But I really think your legacy is around that, around climate justice and the green revolution and making Pittsburgh the center of that work, taking on firearms and taking on hate and extremism. You've really done an amazing work in those three areas in particular, as I see it, and so much more. And the nuts and bolts as well. So thank you for all of that, and just setting this example of what it looks like to have a really clear vision for a city, and taking us to the next step as a city. And I look forward to seeing you around the neighborhood and continuing your friendship. So I really value that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I'm just going to say, Mayor Peduto, I'm waiting for my husband to deliver you the bottle of Maker Mark that I bought you. I sent him a message like ASAP, I need it because I forgot it in the car. But I just want to thank you. I don't even know if I have the words. I think a lot of people have said so much to both you and Dan, but to me, you both were really like the dynamic duo. You did so much for the city of Pittsburgh. You cared passionately. I think when I think of the two of you, and I think a lot of people think like you're you draw the line, you're strong, you do things. But what I saw in you is a person with a sense of humor, an incredible sense of humor, a person with compassion and love for the city of Pittsburgh and for the people that we serve. I saw things, I saw a strong person who could stand up for what he thought was right, and do things because you love the city, because the two of you love the city. You made an amazing team together. But I have to be honest, I hear the stories of previous administrations and things. I always got along with every administration, not always initially, but sooner or later I got along with the previous administration. I'm sure I'll get along with the new administration. But there was something extremely special about this administration and seeing how much you genuinely cared and how much you really put politics aside. And one of the things I'll never forget, that during your campaign, I turned to you, I called you and I said, if you don't meet with some of these people, you might lose this election. And you said, I'd rather lose the election than send the city of Pittsburgh a message that you would work with anybody that was considered even remotely corrupt. And I just want to say you put the city of Pittsburgh first in a way that I have not seen a lot of people do. So I want to thank you very much for all that you did. And I know that people are all saying things now that, you know, they did appreciate things that you did and they didn't realize certain things. But from the Social Security offset that a lot of people will benefit in the city of Pittsburgh, to all the technology and the green infrastructure and all the things you made us think about that maybe we hadn't thought about, or maybe thought about but didn't react upon, making sure that we were more open to diverse workforce and giving people opportunities that never existed, things that were significant and really life-changing for the city. I just want to thank you for all that you've done. I know this is not goodbye. I know we will see you around. I know that our friendship will continue. And I'm excited to see what happens in the future, how we can all work together to continue the effort making Pittsburgh the best city in the country. So I just want to thank you for all that you both have done for the city and turn it over to you, Mayor Paduta.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to be brief. A couple of things that I've learned. Number one, you can collect a lot of junk in 27 years working in this building. And before you try to pack it up yourself, it's best to hire pros. Number two, it's impossible to be a bachelor and to have this job and to have a dog. So now that I won't have this job, I think I'm going to get a dog. And number three, being the mayor of Pittsburgh is the greatest job in the world. And I just want to thank the people of Pittsburgh for giving me this opportunity. I have no regrets. I'm only thankful and grateful. I didn't meet with those people and I did lose the race. So I still would take that same option. To members of council, thank you. Thank you for being a partner these past 8 years. We differed on policies, we differed on programs, but we came together to work through differences, to change and modify decisions, to work for the best, and to recognize that Pittsburgh isn't one big monolith, but a number of different opinions and different thoughts and different people. And we did it in a way that government should work. And I would ask that you continue to do that. Do the right thing. Doesn't have to be political. It's just what is the right thing for the people that you represent, and understand that maybe somebody who sits next to you has a different opinion about the people that they represent. That's not personal, and it never has to be personal. It's just doing what's best for the people you represent. And remember that when you sit at that table, that you are blessed as one of 9 people out of this entire city that has that authority to make decisions. And when people come up and they stand there and they are telling you their opinions, listen, they've taken the time to be down here and they're letting you know what they think, or when they send the letter or make that phone call, and be able to put that into the mix of how you're making your decisions as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful job. And it's one that very few people have the opportunity to do. Out of all of these years and all of the times that I spent here looking up at this ceiling and all of the times that I've had to be a part, whether it was a staff member or a council member or mayor, there was nothing else that I would rather have done. I had no desire ever go to Harrisburg or to Washington or to waste my time in any of those bureaucratic messes. The only thing that I wanted to do was to be a member of city government, where the rubber hits the road and the differences in people's lives are made. You have been given a wonderful opportunity. Realize that every day and make a difference in people's lives. For Dan Gilman, all I can say is this: I would not be standing here today without Dan Gilman. I highly suggest everyone have a Dan Gilman. It's a wonderful thing. And to him and his family, I am very happy that they're going to have their father and their husband and their son back again. He is not only the hardest working person in Pittsburgh, but he is also the most ethical and the most trustworthy friend. And I get my friend back. As for me, every politician has to realize when it's time to leave the stage. So although I look forward to seeing you as a friend, I'm not going to be one to be hanging around. I'm moving on with my life. I'll be doing consulting work throughout the next year and hopefully working at a local university. And through those two jobs, I'll be keeping myself busy. Through this past week and through the next few days, I'll be going through one of the more difficult transitions in my life. I spent Saturday and Christmas for the first time without any of my immediate family members. Having lost my brother on my birthday in October, all my immediate family is now gone. This evening, I will sign the papers to sell my family childhood house. And on Friday, I'll move out of this building that I've worked at for the past 27 years. So it will be a clean cut. It will be a new start. It will be a next chapter. And I look towards it with optimism and with a new opportunity. And I thank all of you for giving me the opportunity of the past. And I look to build off of that as my foundation.
Thank you. And I just want to also just say real quick, we're going to try to get some type of a photo here. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to thank you for helping the current incoming administration through the transition too. You have been extremely gracious. And I don't know if people know that. I want to make sure people do know that, how wonderful you've been, because you do care about the city. So thank you for everything. Councilman Coghill, it's you and I. Maybe we can stand by this TV and try to get all members. Could we do that? David, get a best shot with members and we'll stand by there. Can we stand over there and do that? Okay. We'll take your proclamation.
Thank you. It will be an interesting
I'll send
picture on
over
the
your
shelf.
bottle.
Yeah. I'll explain it to people.
We're really challenging our IMP department today. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, and our next order of business is public comment. And I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which are or may be before city council. Profanity and threats will not be permitted. And I do want to say thank you to our speakers because they've waited an extraordinarily long time today. So thank you very much for waiting. And we'll begin with Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller.
Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller, Beltuver, and Salt Lake City, Utah. Global Intelligence Society, U.S. National Candidate 2024, globalintelligencesociety.org. A concern of council is the certification of the 2 November 2021 election. I and the GIS are seeking decertification by PA state and U.S. federal authorities for civil rights violations. We seek a new election. On one side, I view the 2 November 2021 election as fraud, as criminal, key civil rights violation 1, because it is voterist, anti-voter, resting on a voter disconnection. Citizens, the vote count is founded without a chain of evidence. The Pittsburgh offices of council and mayor, including Mr. Peduto, do not want citizens verifying our votes. We never have. I and the GIS can find no public statement from Peduto, Gainey, Keel Smith, other councilors saying, quote, every Pittsburgh voter has the right to verify, to determine if his or her vote has been lost or misplaced. On 3 January 2022, at the swearing in, the city clerk doing her job will report vote numbers for individuals hypothetically showing their election to Pittsburgh government office. It is a pseudo election. These numbers have not been verified by the people who we are, 3 times displaced from our votes. The clerk gets these numbers from the Allegheny County Election Division, and the ACED gets them from the vote recording system companies. On another side, citizens, I and the GIS can find no public statements from Gainey, Peduto, Kale Smith, other councilors saying, quote, do not vote for a candidate primarily because of his or her racial identity, but because he or she is the best qualified, MLK, contents of character principle, deterring Black voters from voting for Gainey, for example, because he appears to be of Black African descent. I view the 2 November 2021 election as fraud because it is racist, founded on a race identity political axis, pro-Black, and anti-non-Black, key civil rights violation 2. If white supporters of a candidate of white European descent are not discouraged but encouraged to vote for him or her because he or she is white, that is publicly pilloried as racist. The Black Political Empowerment Group, funded by this council in part, actively encouraged Black Pittsburghers to vote for Gainey because Gainey self-identifies as Black. The reaction of thousands of white Pittsburghers understand this fury. This is one of the most divisive events in the history of this city.
Madam Clerk, please call the speakers.
The next speaker is Maura Perkins.
Followed by
The next speaker is Kina James.
It's Kina James. Yeah, I just wanted to speak about the traffic stop legislation. Urge the city council members to halt the vote and to vote no on it. The main reason being that the people who are directly impacted by the traffic stops had no input in this legislation. There is no community input whatsoever. And the legislation itself needs to be stronger. Not saying that it's terrible, but it being about brake lights and, registration numbers is not enough. It's not strong enough, and it doesn't speak to what our marginalized communities actually get pulled over for. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
The next speaker is Alexis Mighty. The next speaker is Dominic Denuzio. Dominic, it says that you're using an older version of Zoom, so you're not able to speak. The next speaker is Ronnie Cook Zolke.
Good morning. I'm Ronnie Cook-Sulky, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the members of City Council today. I've been a Pittsburgh resident of both East Liberty and now Squirrel Hill for 28 years, and I'm here today to speak about the traffic stop bill and to advocate for tabling the bill and the final city-county vote until the new administration is in office, and that is only 1 week from today. Is this a pressing issue? Absolutely it is, and it's great that it's on the agenda. Multiple studies throughout the country and locally have shown how secondary traffic stops are totally out of proportion to the racial makeup of the area, and in some cases can lead to escalation of conflict between police officers and citizens. Several cities, including Philadelphia and Minneapolis, have begun to address this issue. On the other hand, this issue of secondary traffic stops is of such importance that we need to be confident that we have vetted all the particulars of the bill and conduct public and open hearings so that all communities and the new administration can weigh in. I was struck by the WISA, that's 90.5 on FM. They had coverage just last week on Tuesday, December 21st. WISA discussed a letter that had been sent to City Council, Mayor Peduto, and incoming Mayor Gainey. That letter was signed by leaders of the ACLU, the Black Political Empowerment Project, and the Alliance for Police Accountability. And that letter, as I understand it, requested the time and space for communities, organizations, and the new administration to have the opportunity to discuss the details of the bill. I believe it's important that we have that dialogue, transparency, and accountability. So I asked City Council to allow both the new administration and our diverse communities to be part of the final version of this important ordinance. After all, it is the Gainey administration and the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police who will be responsible and accountable for the implementation, the training, and the data collection. They need to be part of the process. Let's do this the right way.
Next speaker is Gabriel McMorland. Gabriel, unmute your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Gabriel McMorland, and I'm here on behalf of the Thomas Merton Center. And I've seen a copy of the letter that Ronnie just referenced that you all received already from the ACLU and BPEP, the Black Political Empowerment Project, and the Alliance for Police Accountability. And I know you're all familiar with those organizations. And I just want to add to the call to not vote today on the bill. And I hope you pass it soon, but let's do another round of, well, let's do a initial round of community input and work with these organizations. I think it's going to take initiative from council, which I'm glad to see that you're addressing this issue because it's super important, but we got to make sure to do it with, I'd really like to see public hearings and then also consultation with the 3 organizations that sent you the letter. I mean, just stands out already the points made in the letter that we should need to have a mandatory and transparent system for data collection about traffic stops. I trust the ACLU's idea that we can expand the number of secondary violations. And I would really like to see a discussion of what's possible for better protecting the safety and rights of pedestrians. So, which I think follows a similar logic. But yeah, really glad to see this issue being addressed. It's a big problem, but let's do it in community. Thank you.
The next speaker is Laura Chu Weens.
Hi there. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm the Executive Director of Pittsburghers for Public Transit, a longstanding resident of Pittsburgh, and our organization is based in Pittsburgh as well. As organizers and leaders in the mobility space, we are really intimately aware of the fraught and often harmful experience of members of our community with police around transportation. As Ronnie referenced, national data is abundantly clear that enforcement of traffic stops is discriminatory, and that oftentimes outcomes are out of proportion of the original stop pretext. And sometimes those outcomes are severe and sometimes fatal, with long-lasting impacts of trauma and other consequences. We really appreciate the council's recognition that this is an issue of utmost urgency and that there's a will on council to advance legislation to address these concerns around the intersection of policing and transportation. But it is striking that those that are most intimately connected to, have expertise in, are impacted by this issue, have been absent from the crafting of this bill, and they are prudently calling for data to be collected surrounding the reasons for traffic stops in Pittsburgh. Our city really cannot craft the most effective legislation without full clarity of the scope of the problem. Nonetheless, it seems clear that this current legislation doesn't go far enough, that it really has gaps that should be filled relating to stop and frisk and not using turn signals and around tinted windows, stops related to tinted windows. And I'll just say finally, the new administration will be taking office in a matter of mere days. If this legislation is really to be successful, then it hardly seems reasonable or prudent to pass it to preempt the mayor-elect Gainey's inauguration, as his administration will both be charged with enforcement and judged on the consequences. And as such, we are calling on council to vote no.
Next speaker is Deja Baker.
Hello, my name is Deja. I am here on behalf of my organization, Pittsburgh Feminists for Intersectionality. And I also wanted to address the traffic stop legislation. As others have said, it would be beneficial to see a more transparent way of data collection. I know that Anthony Coghill was quoted in WESA saying that very minimal traffic stops have resulted in use of force, but we don't know where that data collection is from, and there's not a transparent way for us to look at that. And I think that's a problem. If this legislation is supposed to address the issues of the community and that traffic stops then increase interactions with the police that are unsafe, then how can we do that if the community doesn't have input on the legislation itself? I ask that you halt this vote to add amendments that are addressing the actual issues that Black and Brown people face when being stopped by the police. And I ask that you have community input on these issues so that you understand that the gravitas of this is not just being stopped for your brake light being out or you not putting your turn signal on, that we know, as others said, is inherently racist, the things that we stop people for, and that doesn't address the totality of those issues. So again, if we can halt the vote and add amendments via the actual experiences of people in our community, then I think that would give us legislation that could actually positively affect the relationship between citizens, the police, and the council and city government. Thank you.
The next speaker is Phyllis Didiano. Phyllis, unmute your mic. Phyllis Didiano.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Phyllis Didiano of Beachview, here today as constituents interested in transparency regarding changes to traffic stops and in support of a public hearing regarding Bill 2021-2174. I'm President of Beachview, I'm a citizen, Vice President of Zone 6 Public Safety Council, but I'm not representing groups today. My experience with the Zone Safety Councils over the years has enlightened me to many issues, including understanding and fostering better relationships between the community and officers. Committing a lot of time to community events, I find public safety is the reason why people reside where they do. Also happen to be president of the Historical Society, and we need to learn from history. Some are hesitant to get involved, but this is too much to be ignored. Advocate for best policies. More time is needed to provide training for officers and informing the public. Budget should be increased to provide PSAs, buzz driving, and drunk driving. Everyone knows is illegal, but people may not realize the importance of having their taillights lit. Communicating with nearby police departments might be helpful. They'll be enforcing state laws and may have a different outlook. If there are policy changes that come out of this, it's good for all. But ignoring any patterns of, racism or any other cause to do full searches every time is paramount. We need to look at adherence to state motor vehicle codes and safer driving. That's what's important. Many points are being made in hopes of preventing mistakes, and I'm supporting constituent and advocacy group rights to due process and providing a public hearing and post agenda. Thank you.
The next speaker is Robert Maddock.
Good morning, Council. My name is Robert Maddock. I live at 3826 East Street on the north side. I am at present the chair of the Pennsylvania Interfaith Impact Network's Public Safety / Transitional Justice Task Force. I wish to add my voice to the other community voices, such as Tim Stevens, Brandy Fisher, and Vic Walsack, in urging City Council to postpone the final vote in the traffic stop legislation until the administration of Mayor Ed Gainey is sworn in. As PIN's Public Safety Task Force, we have always been interested in making the streets of this region as safe as possible for its citizens. We've been aware of the potential and actuality of traffic stops escalating into confrontations which may result in uncalled for injury and even death. It seems to us this legislation is a step in the right direction, and we indeed welcome it. We believe, though, that the passing of this legislation now at the very eve of a new administration may be robbing the community and the possibility of being viewed through the eyes of the people who have the responsibility for enforcing it. Thus, PIN adds its voice to the voices in the community and asks for a delay in the passing of this legislation. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carol Speaks. Carol Speaks. Next speaker is Naomi Mullen. The next speaker is Lois McClendon. Lois McClendon. Lois, you do not have the updated version of Zoom, so you're unable to speak. The next speaker is Jonathan Kamen.
Good morning, members of council. My name is Jonathan Kamen, and I'm the attorney who's helping to work through the Hazelwood Green rezoning amendments. And I just wanted to let everyone know we were here for questions, and also wanted to thank Councilman O'Connor and the planning staff for all their hard work and energy that they've put into this legislation over the past several months. So just wanted to zoom in and tell you we're here to answer questions at the time the legislation comes up. Thank you.
The next speaking is Austin Gelbord. Austin Gelbard. Okay, next speaker is Crystal Knight.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Crystal Knight. I work for the Thomas Merton Center and I'm a resident of the North Side. I'll be pretty quick. I'm here just to say what a lot of other speakers have already said. There needs to be a post-agenda meeting for this legislation. We need community input, and we're hoping that we can, the council will allow for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jonathan Nadel. Jonathan, unmute your mic, please.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes. Good morning, Madam President, councilors. My name is Jonathan. I live in Beachview, and I support City Council holding a public hearing and post-agenda session on a proposed legislation for 3 reasons. First, a new administration will be starting very soon, and with no disrespect to Councilor Burgess and others who feel reform is urgently needed, wouldn't it be best to allow the incoming administration a chance to fully review this proposed bill, to perhaps suggest modifications or expand it as part and parcel of more comprehensive policing and criminal justice reform legislation? That way, whatever is decided, it would be by our mayor, not our mayor-elect, and be on the record with accountability. Second, council has held hearings on lesser issues than this. They may interest and affect fewer people than policing reform, but they are important to those who are affected. Citizens feel validated by City Council, allowing them to provide input and having their say, whatever the final outcome. So in fairness, this issue deserves a hearing too. Finally, as mentioned, this is an issue that affects many people. It attracts strong interest in press coverage, it stirs emotions, and many want to be heard on it. It's simply too big and too important of an issue to be handled in anything other than an open, considered fashion, with sufficient opportunity for public input and council discussion. For these 3 reasons, I urge council to hold a public hearing and post-agenda session on this bill. Thank you.
The next speaker is Eileen Papali.
Good morning. All the best to the outgoing administration and to the new incoming administration. Eileen Papali, 15226. I am supporting a scheduling of a public hearing on Bill 2021-2174 and letting our new mayor and administration have their necessary input also. Thank you for hopefully giving us this opportunity for a broader discussion of this important issue. It may seem minor, but driving at night with a broken headlight can be dangerous to both the driver and pedestrians. Not having insurance can be catastrophic to the innocent pedestrian or biker who is hit and not covered. Police stumble upon drugs, stolen property, or worse when they stop motorists for these issues. Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, Ted Bundy, and Richard Ramirez, LA Night Stalker, were all pulled over for minor traffic violations. I was pulled over by an officer on a traffic stop in which I was guilty. I'm a 20-plus year block watch member, and we were given sensible steps to follow when this happens. Use your turn signal and pull over as soon as possible. Roll down your window, remain in your car, and have the necessary documents ready. I put these items along with the keys on my dashboard and kept my hands on the steering wheel while answering the officer's questions. All proceeded well and I felt respected. A friend of mine was also pulled over for a burned out turn signal and had the same experience. Both driver and officer both deserve to be respected. I've lived approximately 20 years in the integrated Lincoln-Leamington neighborhood, which I still have great fondness for. And I want to see these good residents having safe streets for their children and play safely in Paulson Park. I've been to every one of our 90 city neighborhoods, and I want to see each one be safe and thrive. So far this year, there have been 521 homicides in Philadelphia, a 13 increase over last year, which was a record-breaking year. Please don't eliminate another tool that can be used when used properly to help keep our neighborhoods safe. I'm sure there's a lot of good intentions here today, but sometimes the best intentions have unintended consequences. FBI data show that minority communities suffered disproportionately from last year's rise in crime. Urban police departments have seen surges in officer resignations and retirements, and they're struggling to fill vacant positions. That meant fewer officers on patrol, slower response times, less proactive policing, and all too predictably, more crime. We can have the most beautiful streets and parks, but if our residents are unsafe, it is virtually meaningless. We do have beautiful parks and streets. Thank you for serving our city council members, and Happy New Year's to all. Thank you.
The next speaker is James Boland. James Boland, can you please unmute your mic?
You hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, my name is James Boland. I live at 123 Spencer Avenue in Care. I'm calling today regarding Bill 2021-2174, which would ban certain kinds of traffic stops. This bill should be held for a public hearing and posted agenda to address the issue related to it. Starting with the lack of public process, BPEP, the ACLU, One Hood, the Alliance of Police Accountability, and our neighborhood voices are calling for a public hearing and post agenda. Not involving the public fails to give all of us in the city of Pittsburgh our voice in the public process. It denies us the right to question the body of counsel of our desires, concerns, beliefs on this bill. Shame on you for pushing us through with not letting us have a voice. We have a new administration coming in. They must deal with the bill that there was no input from them. This bill is a continuance of turning a blind eye to illegal activity. By this bill going forward, we're putting fellow motorists, pedestrians, and road workers at risk of injury or death by an unsafe or uninspectable vehicle being on the road. The state vehicle codes are there to protect all of us from being injured or killed. So by passing this bill, you're telling the Pittsburgh Police Department to violate the state laws by not enforcing them? Shame on you. How come the other bordering police agencies are not bringing this issue of activity? Because it puts people and property at risk of being victims of a bill like this. Shame on you. We need more info on why there's a disparity of the amount of traffic stops in certain neighborhoods in the city, and need to find ways to fix what is broken. We don't need to lower the standards of police enforcement to do so by passing this bill. You are not fixing the problem by creating a lawless city. Shame on you. With all that being said, I ask all of our council members to postpone passing this bill so we can have a public hearing post agenda. We need more info and deserve our chance at having input and a voice on this matter. Thank you, and God bless all you.
Next speaker is Bonnie Fan. Bonnie, please unmute your mic. Bonnie Fan, please unmute your mic. We'll come back. Next speaker is Donna McManus.
Good morning. I'm speaking to you today because of concerns I have regarding the bill that would ban certain kinds of traffic stops. How can 9 council members vote on a bill that essentially dismisses state traffic laws without including the public in the process? This bill needs public input before you vote on it. This process needs to be transparent and open so the citizens of Pittsburgh not only have the ability to respond at a public hearing, but also are well informed by the criteria used in your decision-making. I ask that the 9 of you table this vote and put forth a public hearing post-agenda so that the citizens of Pittsburgh are included in the democratic process. Thank you.
Next speaker is Laura Doyle.
Thank you. And Mayor Paduta, thank you for all your service to the city. Very much appreciate and wish you well in your next agenda. My name is Laura Doyle. I'm here as a private citizen, and I'm asking for, like so many have, public hearings on this issue. I personally am opposed to Bill 2021 2174. I think it decreases public safety. I really do. I'm categorically against not pulling people over for a headlight that's on, or even a brake light. Most people would never know they have a brake light on. And I don't think that these kinds of stops, unless there's something else, another infraction, I don't think they lead to anything other than a warning or a notification to the driver to have something repaired. Today we're going to have 11 hours and 35 minutes of night, 9 hours and 19 minutes of daylight. The highest percentage of pedestrian deaths occur between 6 and 9 p.m. And the Institute for Highway Safety says the ability to see what's in front of you is vital to keeping pedestrians and bicyclists safe. We have such an increased use of electric scooters in the city. I just don't think it's a good idea not to pull people over for having their brakes or their headlights out. It's really dangerous. I don't think you've gotten any input from the public one way or another. I'm not sure from the study I read in the newspaper that I see a big difference, between brown people and white people being pulled over about 130. So it seems like we do need more data. What's exactly happening? Where is it happening? And what are the alternative methods to creating more equality for brown people? I'm not sure that not pulling over anybody that has their headlight out is going to accomplish that. And I do believe that good policing tactics, it is a good policing tactic to pull people over for minor infractions. I really do. Eileen Papali had mentioned Timothy McVeigh, Ted Bundy, Randy Kraft, the Orange County Killer. They were all pulled over for a minor violation. I do think criminals are rule breakers and they don't have a regard for the laws. So stops for infractions to minor motor vehicle laws are good policing, and they can lead to arrest or capture of criminals. So I do think that you guys should have some open hearings on this matter and hear from everybody in the city that will be affected by the vote. Thank you.
Next speaker is Brandy Fisher.
Good morning. Am I able to be heard?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, everybody. For the record, my name is Brandy Fisher, and I'm with the Alliance for Police Accountability, affectionately known as APA. which is currently an alliance of about 30 organizations focused on criminal justice reconstruction. First, I just want to, I hope and pray that you all have had a wonderful holiday season and are continuing to, and that your families are healthy and safe. Our organization is actually on a break, but we couldn't let such an important matter such as this traffic stop legislation go without our addressing it. And that is the first thing I would like to speak to. We heard many people on here talk about the public process and the lack thereof. One of our organization's values is for the people to have a voice in the decisions that are being made to impact them. I was listening to everyone speak, and I hear that we are all very passionate about having a public process and being heard on this matter, but I also hear that it's for different reasons. And I think this is why post agendas and public hearings are important, because it also is a way for people to be educated who may not have an idea about what actually goes on in certain communities that they're not from. I think it is great also, and what you agree, that it's best for us to work together in crafting legislation and laws that impact our lives. Co-governance is a positive thing that encourages civic participation, and one of the ways a city truly moves together and avoids mass conflict and confusion. We have an incoming mayor who is pushing to have a city for all, where we all work together to shape a city that embodies and reflects equity. I think now is the time to strongly reconsider the current culture of shaping legislation without community input and inclusion. This is just one of the reasons that we're asking for you to put a pause on voting on this legislation. This legislation is very important. We definitely support a legislation that impacts eliminating traffic stops. And we thank Councilman Burgess for being willing to sponsor such legislation, because we know that without that, we couldn't have it. The other thing that is important is this topic of data. In 2020, and I'm hoping that the people who just commented are listening, because this will speak to the reason why, this will speak to the difference in how you as a white person is pulled over and treated, and how me as a Black person is pulled over and treated. In 2020, there were 9,912 people stopped by Pittsburgh police. Zone 4 had the most traffic stops, which includes Hazelwood, where residents just recently held a press conference stating that they are being harassed and unwarrantedly stopped and frisked. There was a mother of a student stating that her son was coming home from school and getting off of the bus with his hands in his pocket and stopped and frisked by the police because they said that he had a gun, or they thought he had a gun. This reason eerily reminded me of Jordan Miles, the reason this organization was founded in 2010. A 17-year-old student at Kappa then being brutally beaten because it was said that they thought he had a gun. As in the case of the student in Hazelwood, Jordan did not. These tactics that we have all agreed need to end are resurfacing and must be met with legislation to protect the citizens of Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh police stopped and frisked 901 people at traffic stops. And out of the 901 people, an overwhelming number of 692 were Black boys and men. In Zone 5, which is in Councilman Burgess's district, stopped and frisked the most people. 32% of the people they stopped are getting pulled out of their cars and searched. In Zone 4, most over half of the people stopped and frisked are Black.
Next speaker is William Parker.
Hello, everyone. This is Will Parker, Pittsburgh Sun. Since this is the last week in office for the outgoing administration, I think it's important to mention Neat Craft's name. God bless her soul. It only takes one person to take a stand, and that's what I did for diversity in tech. Tech is going to change everything for the city and around the world. And if you're afraid of that, stay off Facebook, stay off Twitter, stay off Instagram and Zoom. Because of tech, I didn't have to come down here today to have my voice heard. I'm not going to allow us to be left behind like so many times before. I'm going to keep engaging, showing up, speaking out in the interest of the public. You should all know by now that I'm a change agent, influencer, and leader. How many of you can honestly say that you heard rumors about Ed Gainey running for mayor before I announced my candidacy? I led the way. And now that Ed Gainey is elected, I'm going to hold him accountable like I know the rest of you will, especially when it comes to tech. Now, I hope that City Council passes to end these secondary traffic offenses today. You know, I've been listening to a lot of people, but I ain't heard no black man come on here and said nothing. And I'm a black man, and I've been pulled over for these little minor offenses, and that's targeting. So I applaud Burgess, and I ask all of you to get behind him and support him and pass this bill before the year ends, and at least let Bill Peduto go out with a little credit, you know, for really helping black folks. We ain't gonna lead us up to Ed Gainey. Let's do this now. We can mend, enhance, and modify anything in the future under Ed Gainey's administration. But right now, City Council, let's get this right and pass this bill. You're hearing it from a black man, okay? And with that being said, I want to sincerely wish everyone a happy new year. I'll see you all in 2022. We got a lot of work to do. Together we will. Thank you.
The next speaker is Gordy Sullivan.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Thank you. First of all, I think what the legislation they're trying to write is against about 20 different state codes regarding tinted windows, inspection, license plates, you know, lights being on. I've driven past cars that don't have a front end on it at night and you can't see it, or even one or two lights on. I ride a motorcycle, which is very, very dangerous when you have people that don't use turn signals, or if you can't see through a tinted window, the signal to go ahead or stop or I'm going or however you want to cause it. But it's just, I don't know how the council could try to go against state laws. I mean, the inspection says you have to have the car inspected. You know, and another thing, if you want to do statistics, when they pull people over, look and see how many people are driving without insurance. Now, if you don't get pulled over, I mean, not saying for any infraction, and you don't have insurance and you hit somebody, and guess what? Everybody has to pay because the insurance companies raise all the rates based on how many accidents there are and what damages they're paying out. So I just think it's foolish to even try to write a bill like this. It does. I mean, I don't know how you could even do it. I mean, I get my cars inspected. Yeah, I got pulled over a few times, you know, over the years, forgetting about inspection or something. But, you know, sometimes you forget. I mean, especially now that the state changed, you know, it used to be match sticker to what your plate was, you know, the registration year. Now, since they did away with that, I was driving a year ago. I forgot all about registering my vehicle until I looked one day and I was going, hurry up and do it. But I don't know. I just think it's going to give the city a black eye. And I don't know how you could go against, you know, the laws. I mean, I work for the city, Pittsburgh Public Works. I almost got hit a bunch of times out on the street. You know, what about construction companies? Anybody, you know, called them in for a meeting, say, hey, we're going to put these new laws in, you know, you guys are on your own out there when you're flagging. So I just think it should be tabled and come up with other ideas. Thank you and Happy New Year.
And the last speaker is Brent LaHaye. Brent, unmute your mic, please.
All right, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you, and thanks to council for the opportunity to speak this morning. I was speaking on the proposed amendment to the zoning code for the specially planned district for Hazelwood Green. I understand that's going to be amended to add onto the agenda for today's meeting. I also spoke last Wednesday at the public hearing, and I just wanted to reiterate my requests and respond to some comments that I had received following at the end of that meeting. So to reiterate my requests, and this is going out not just to city council, but I'd also like to speak to the developers and their backers. So the first would be that if we're going to build or allow the building of the temporary parking lots on the site, that we should charge the site users to cover the cost of those parking lots, so that we don't subsidize driving over other means of transit. Also, secondly, we could provide transit passes to the site users, so we do subsidize transit use. And another request would that be we could pay the Port Authority for the extension of the 75 route across the Hot Metal Bridge to serve the Hazelwood Green site, and also pay to operate the 93 on the weekends. Both of these routes, by extending and improving service, would accomplish a lot to provide improved transit to the site. And we're also suggested in a report that was put together by Pittsburghers for public transit. So at the meeting, I heard back that, there hasn't been a lot of success at the site, and the parking lots are needed to pave the way for additional projects for the things to move forward. And also that there's going to be a transportation demand management plan that will incentivize alternative modes of transportation. So I'd just like to say that, there hasn't been a lot of success in the site or in the current or previous transit plan, which was the non-Oakland connector, which has been stalled out due to various reasons. And so why can't we consider a temporary alternative transit plan? And as far as the transportation demand management plan as part of the site, it's going to be based on parking demand analysis, which the parking level of parking demand is informed by the presence of alternatives such as frequent and use of speedy public transit. And if there's no other alternative, the net result is, of course, everyone's going to drive. And the level of parking demand is also influenced by the relative cost of driving parking versus the cost of transit. So if we're going to build parking lots as a temporary solution, why can't we also consider the same, to provide temporary transit solutions to the site as well, so that these ideas could be implemented pretty quickly, I think, and also could be a temporary solution until something more permanent is considered and implemented. So that way, when there is some big
And we're going to go back to Bonnie Fan. Unmute your mic.
Yes, thank you. I'm speaking as a member of Pittsburghers for Public Transit and also as a member of the Coalition for Predictive Policing as a part of the APA Coalition. Actually also echoing support for the previous comments, recommendations or asks for transit alternatives and funding for the 75 and 93 routes. But particularly on the traffic stop legislation, urging a delay till the new administration comes in, with this issue being such a life and death important matter that with legislation written in the past involving public safety often being watered down without community input, it is really important to have the public and to have community have full input on the ways and the harms of biased or inequitable stops that often lead to escalation. It makes no sense that we have armed officers performing, minor violation stops, and there's definite ways to include amendments to the bill to reflect other additions that cities such as Philadelphia has made and that previous speakers have already spoken to. Thank you.
Thank you. And that exhausts our speakers, correct, Madam Clerk? Yeah. Thank you. I just want to thank you very much for going through that list, because you can see who's on screen and who's not. And with that said, we're going to go on to our next order of business, but I apologize. Is there anyone in chambers that would like to address City Council? I apologize.
I apologize. I didn't sign up to speak, so I understand that and appreciate that you give me this opportunity. Good morning, council members and clerk office officials and everybody else in the room. My name is Ralph Knorr, and I am from Brookline. As you know, I'm a regular visitor to council meetings. My purpose here is that of an observer. I believe, since that I am not elected and do not have any intention to run or hold public office, I really don't make too big of a deal about the activities down here. I have noticed, however, that since the primary election loss by our current mayor, that a number of important policy changes have occurred, many under great controversy and without public input. For the most part, as I said, I really don't have much to say about that and try to keep my opinions to myself. However, and I'm switching gears here, I'm greatly concerned about one disturbing recent development that has got my attention. That would be the creation of the new police department positions. Now, I don't know the rationale behind the creation of these positions, and I really don't care. However, and this is important for you to understand, I believe there must be a carefully standardized process in order to qualify for these promotions. You must not politicize these promotions. However, as many of you know, there has already been a great deal of controversy about this. That's because the mayor has arbitrarily decided to promote one of his longtime confidants to one of these positions. His bodyguard and driver will go from sergeant to assistant chief. Doing this, I believe, will undermine the morale of the police department, disrupt the chain of command, possibly affect command and control elements that are necessary to police our city. And by creating dissension in the ranks. I think this also needs to be put on hold or seriously looked at by our next mayor. If you don't do this, I believe there will be long-term, serious negative consequences in the morale of the department. If you think that you can promote people based on political or personal, excuse me, I'm over. Thank you for your time. Quick shout out to Joe Grishecki. Congratulations on getting the key to the city. Thank you, Mayor Peduto and Council, for awarding him this
Thank you. Thank you.
honor. Have a great day.
Thank you. And I just want to say our next order of business will be presentations of papers. But before we do that, I want to say that we are also joined by our new city council solicitor, Dan Freeston. So if members have anything they'd like to address during this meeting, he'll be here for that. And it was good hearing him during public comment, giving some of his feedback. So with that said, we'll start with Councilman Burgess, Chair of Urban Recreation.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Works.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Intergovernmental Affairs.
The papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman Kraus, Chair of Human Resources.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Lavelle, Chair of Finance and Law.
No, no new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman O'Connor, Chair of Public Safety Services.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair of Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you. And Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And myself, Madam Clerk, could you explain what this is to me before I introduce it? Okay. Okay. But this wasn't supposed to come over as a communication zone. Okay. Okay. Madam Clerk, for me, thank you.
Council President Kell Smith presents Bill number 2375, communication from Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, submitting an interim approval letter to extend the time frame for the Planning Commission to render a decision on Council Bill 2021-1912 entitled Ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances Title 9, zoning Article 7, Review and Enforcement, Chapter 922, Development Review Procedures to augment the approval process for certain site plans required in the zoning code.
So can I,
Yeah,
can I have a motion to read, receive, and file?
okay. A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, bills. And now that moves us on to, I apologize. Committees, reports to committee for final action. And we'll move on to Councilman Lavelle, Committee on Finance and Law.
Madam President,
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill number 2369, Report of the Committee on Finance and Law for December 20th, 2021, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 2271, resolution authorizing the issuance of 2 warrants in favor of Plavchek Construction Company totaling $30,349.98, which shall be allocated as follows: $25,000 payable from the Department of Parks and Recreation and $5,349.98 payable from the Department of Law in final settlement related to litigation filed in the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County. Bill number 2272, resolution authorizing the issuing of 2 warrants in favor of Plavchak Construction Company totaling $56,391.01, which shall be allocated as follows: $45,113.09 payable from the Department of Public Works and $11,277.92 payable from the Department of Law in final settlement related to litigation in the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County. Bill number 2273, resolution authorizing the issuance of 2 warrants in favor of Plavchak Construction Company totaling $30,136.76, which shall be allocated as follows: $5,370.75 payable from the Department of Public Works and $24,766.01 payable from the Department of Law in final settlement related to litigation filed in the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County. Bill number 2323, resolution amending Resolution 866 of 2010, authorizing the creation of the Emergency Medical Services Hazardous Materials Trust Fund to rename the fund and clarify and update its uses. Bill number 2324, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Finance on behalf of the city to enter into a corporation agreement with the Housing Authority of the city to document local corporation and housing authorities agreement to make payments in lieu of taxes for the Manchester redevelopment housing development. Bill number 2325, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Finance on behalf of the city to enter into a corporation agreement with the Housing Authority to document local corporation and the authorities agreement to make payments in lieu of taxes for the Northview Mid-Rise Housing Development. Bill number 2326, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Finance on behalf of the city to enter into a corporation agreement with the Housing Authority of the city to document local corporation and the Housing Authorities agreement to make payments in lieu of taxes for the Larimer East Liberty Phase 1 housing development. Bill number 2327, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to enter into a corporation agreement with the Housing Authority to document local corporation and the Housing Authorities agreement to make payments in lieu of taxes for the Larimer East Liberty Phase 2 housing development. Bill number 2328, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Finance to enter into a corporation agreement with the Housing Authority to document local corporation and the Housing Authorities agreement to make payment in lieu of taxes for Larimer East Liberty Phase 3 housing development. Bill number 2329, resolution authorizing the mayor and Director of the Department of Finance on behalf of the city to enter into a corporation agreement with the Housing Authority to document local corporation in the Housing Authority's agreement to make payments in lieu of taxes for the Laramie East Liberty Phase 4 housing project, housing development, Bill number 2330. Resolution providing for the conveyance by the city of certain property having been placed for sale to adjoining property owners in conjunction with the City of Pittsburgh Side Yard Program, items A through D, 3447 Milwaukee, 5454 Kincaid, 6340 Maxwell, and 141 Berwick. Bill number 2358. Resolution further amending and supplementing Resolution number 855 entitled Adopting and Approving the 2012 Capital Budget by transferring $1,500 to Hilltop Alliance within District 3 Neighborhood Needs. Bill number 2359, resolution further amending Resolution number 93, providing for an agreement and/or a contract for the purchase of materials, supplies, equipment, and/or services for various projects in connection with the City Council Neighborhood Needs Program in Council District 3, and providing for the payment of costs by transferring $1,500 to the Hilltop Alliance. Total cost of all District 3 Neighborhood Needs Project is not to exceed $51,943.77. Bill number 2360, resolution authorizing the mayor and Department of Law and the Department of Finance on behalf of the city in full and final settlement related to litigation in the Court of Common Pleas to accept $325,000 to issue a warrant in favor of Beth Ann Butler and Charles Butler and their attorneys totaling $5,000 for the purchase of certain property, and further authorizing the execution of a deed and other documents as needed to complete said property purchase. Bill number 2365, resolution further amending Resolution 549 entitled Providing for an Agreement and/or Contract for the Purchase of Materials, Supplies, Equipment, and/or Services for City Council Neighborhood Needs Program, and providing for the payment of the cost by transferring $2,700 within District 1 Neighborhood Needs for a District 2 project. Bill number 2366, resolution further amending and supplementing Resolution number 855 entitled Adopting and Approving the 2012 Capital Budget by transferring a total of $2,700 within District 1 Neighborhood Needs for a District 2 project.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Coghill,
Aye.
Ms. Gross,
Aye.
Mr. Kraus,
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle,
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Cal Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
Bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. That moves us on to Councilman Corey O'Connor, Committee on Public Safety Services.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman O'Connor presents Bill number 2376. Report of the Committee on Public Safety Services for December 20th of 2021 with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 2174, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title 5, Traffic, Article 1, Administration, Chapter 503, Enforcement and Control by adding a new section, 50317, Equitable and Fair Enforcement of Motor Vehicle Laws.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? Councilman,
Madam- Yep.
oh, I'm
May I,
sorry.
Madam President? That's okay. If Councilman Coghill
Okay.
can go first, if I may have comment after. Thank you.
Councilman Coghill first and then Councilman Kraus. I apologize, Councilman. Go ahead,
Thank you,
Councilman.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. So I just want to acknowledge the callers this morning, first and foremost, on this bill. I think it's important to get a different perspective from all over the city, and that's what we got this morning, and I was glad that we got it. And fair that we're not going to have a public hearing on this, I want to at least say my piece right now, okay? First and foremost, I'd like to read you the definition of a public hearing, okay? I know we all have been through many of them and we've called for them, but for the public's sake, I want them to know. Definition, public hearing. Public hearings are organized as a way to gather public opinions and concerns before a legislation makes a decision or takes action. This allows local officials to get a preview of potential political consequences before they decide. While those who speak at public hearings are typically not involved with the final decision, it is expected that their ideas and opinions voiced during the consultation often guide and inform it. While the final decision may go against the public opinions, the hearing at the very least makes for a transparent process, period. Okay. So when I hear talk about a public hearing after we take this vote, it is falling on deaf ears to the city of Pittsburgh, I will tell you. So we have been anything but transparent. Even within our own council, we're not transparent. I've made my remarks last week about not even knowing about those amendments when they were coming down on the desk that Reverend Burgess put in. And I would doubt very much that any other member probably knew of those amendments. So transparency, I think not. We've had many public hearings over the past, since I've been here, okay? Just a few. Very important public hearings, and we call public hearings for good reason. Inclusionary zoning, very important. Liquor license, residential permit parking, Oakland Crossing, the parks tax, okay? I can go on and on. All of these hearings I felt were very important, and we needed to hear the public process in them. And I was glad that we had them. I think it helped shape and mold our decisions in going forward with those very important subjects. Those subjects don't quite touch everybody in the city. Of course, Oakland Crossing has to do with Oakland and university, and yeah, it touches a lot of people in many ways. This 2174 affects everybody, not only the people living here, but the people that come through our city, okay? So this demands a public hearing, in my opinion. I will say this, I've been having lots of conversations with, Brandy Fisher of APA and Tim Stevens of BPEP and, Vic Walchak and One Hood. I will tell them, I want to personally tell them, I want them at the table. When we're talking about police reform, you have a seat at the table with me. Why this council has chosen to, or may choose to, not have a post agenda and talk to these folks who have been circling and dealing with this for years and years and who are much more informed and much smarter than we are as to what needs to be done. And oddly enough, me and Brandy actually found common ground. I happen to think that what she wants to add into this as far as data goes is absolutely necessary. There are a lot of questions, okay, as far as I have. And disappointed, I will tell you that, not only the lack of transparency in this council, but the hard questions that I expect out of this council on these very important subjects. I've not heard one. I really haven't. We've had brief discussions on it. This thing has been rushed. This thing has not been thought through. We've heard it from people across the city today, okay? Here's what I'm going to ask. If you decide to vote for this, please answer two questions for our constituents. Why are you not allowing the opportunity for the public to voice their opinions on an issue that is so important? And what is the urgency? Why are we not waiting for the next mayor who ran on police reform so he can take ownership of this as well as we can? That's just a common sense question, folks. It really is. Here we are a week out, and we're going to pass legislation without the next mayor being here. It's unbelievable to me. So if at the very least, if you're deciding to vote for this and pass it today, please answer these two questions for our constituents, please, because it warrants it. If this is going to be the most of what we're going to have of a public hearing, you got to be able to answer those two questions. Thank you.
Councilman Kraus.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilman Coghill and members. I am supporting today. I signed on very early on. In fact, as it was being read into the record on the day it was introduced, I leaned over to Councilman Burgess and asked if I could co-sponsor the bill with him. And I know other members have joined on as well too. And I'll make these remarks brief because I've stated them previously, but in the the summer of protest after the murder of George Floyd, we spent about 17 weeks speaking with African-American leadership throughout Hilltop neighborhoods as to their wishes, their desires to see police reform and what kind of reform we were looking to see. And in the course of those conversations, one topic came up every single time we met, regardless, and that was about traffic stops and the conversations that parents are forced to have with their teenage sons and daughters about how, what to do and what not to do if one is stopped by the police. And it stayed with me. It will always stay with me. I'll never be able to shake the conversations that we had around the topic. I do believe this is the right thing to do. The bill has been on the table for 54 days now. There was ample opportunity for people to call for post agendas, both elected and constituency and leaders of organizations, as well as public hearings. I had brief consultation with Councilwoman Gross while the meeting was taking place. And I shared with her what I believe to be the fluidity of legislation and the authority of council. I will support public hearings and post agenda if called for in the new year. In the fluidity of legislation and the power that is given council, we revisit topics regularly. We can amend, we can rescind, we can improve, we could take things out or add things to it as we see fit through conversation with constituency and leadership. So I'm happy to vote in support of it today. I encourage members to vote for it as well today. I thank Councilman Burgess for his leadership on putting this very important piece of legislation on the table. Thanks, Madam President, for letting me to make comment.
Thank you so much, Kraus. Any other members?
Madam President,
Councilwoman Gross?
thank you. I appreciate it. I would like to just also thank the speakers who did come out today. There were quite a number of speakers who spoke to this piece of legislation and respond to some of those comments and to Councilman Coghill's questions. So what we heard in public comment was a lot of people asking for a slowdown and for more public process. But I think as Ms. Fisher, one of the last speakers, acknowledged, and I want to acknowledge as well, it was really split, that some of the people who would like us to have more public input think we are not going far enough in these changes. They would like to see more substantial revisions to the process, the reasons for pulling people over. And the other feel that we are going way too far, right? So on the first hand, people think that because we are only taking a few of the causes out of the traffic stops, that I'm not saying this exactly right, so forgive me, but like that we're only exempting 3 or 4, I think, causes of like headlights, inspection sticker out of the traffic ordinance, that we are not going far enough, and that people will be in danger because we are not taking more offenses off. And the other half of the people think that people are in danger because we're doing too much. And so I think that it's okay for us to start now and see how this works, and to go ahead and capture the data and to go ahead and get more public input. But I would like to respond to Councilman Coghill. There really is a substantial difference between the kinds of public input and public hearings that he gave examples for, because they were mostly about land use and zoning, which council cannot make iterative and progressive adjustments to, because there's so much other public process not at the council table, that they take 4 or 5 months of other kinds of required wait times, planning commission, public hearings, planning commission votes, And so they really do have a whole separate legislative track. Whereas amending the traffic code, we can actually make these changes in the beginning of the next year. We can have public hearings, we can start collecting data, we can make these changes. And so they are really qualitatively separate kinds of legislative tasks. And I do hear the concern about allowing our next mayor, Ed Gainey, to endeavor on his own version of police reform. And I am eager to participate in that work as well. But I do feel that today is a small and judicious step that just continues to keep this issue in front of us. I made similar remarks last week. It keeps it at the table. It keeps our conversation going. And I'm comfortable taking these first steps. And I do not think they are too big of a step. And I hope that the citizens who are concerned about the changes that we're making today will be comforted in seeing that that we aren't putting them in harm's way. So I'm supportive today, and forgive me for not describing the code changes very facilely this morning.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Gross. Any other members?
Madam President,
Councilman Lavelle.
thank you. I'll be very brief. I actually agree with, I think, almost everything Councilwoman Gross just said. So I thank her for her remarks. The only thing I would simply add to it is that it's important to acknowledge that in the bill, it does not go into effect for 120 days. So it actually gives the incoming mayor, the new administration, time to better understand the bill, time to begin working towards its implementation. And it also gives this time council to revisit it should we so choose. So I think it's just worth noting that as well.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Burgess, did you want to say anything, add anything? No?
Thank everyone for your support.
Okay, I'm just going to say, I'm really torn over this bill. I've talked to Reverend Burgess about it because I do share your concerns that we have not had a public hearing. And not only that, but I feel like we are constantly dividing our city. We are constantly picking between our Black community and our police officers. And I feel like bringing them together brings us the absolute best legislation possible. So I really do struggle with that. But you have my commitment, and I've talked to you about it before, that we will, and I was actually having a sidebar conversation with our solicitor who has some great ideas of how we could work together and bring people together to come up with a task force and address the concerns of police, but making sure that the Black community feels safe and protected by our police and part of the process. The activists as well. I mean, I think that, there's, in my community, I tell people this all the time, I have very different opinions, but I think no matter what, a public hearing and a post agenda are crucial. But I think really the task force and the work that goes on behind the scenes with people working together, they brought us some of the best bills that we've seen. And when we did that with the Jordan Miles bills, we've done it with other things. We do it for minor things, we do it for major things. This, if any bill ever screamed for a public hearing and post agenda, public process and a task force, it is this bill. It's any bills that relate to policing because people feel very differently about them. And yet we see a lot happening with the Black community and being pulled over. We also see a lot more happening with our police officers. And I just want to make sure that both sides, that we're one team, not sides, and two, that everyone feels safe and protected. And I really am so torn today. I was going to abstain from the bill today because I just really didn't know how to vote today. Because when people are calling for a post agenda and public hearing, I actually think that we should honor that. But I also understand it's the last minute. And if they had done this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we may have been able to squeeze it in to at least have somewhat of a process. But as Councilman Kraus pointed out, this bill's been on the table for almost 3 months. So it's been some time that we could have had, people could have came down for comment. We could have had the public hearing and we could have had the post agenda. So with that said, I'm torn. I won't know how I vote until it comes around to my turn. But with that said, I do want to thank everyone for having the discussion and moving forward and realizing that there are some issues on both sides, and there are things that we need to address to keep our public safe and our officers safe as well. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Councilman Coghill.
Thank you. Just one last thing I want to add. The only thing that this council is voting on today is whether we should have this for a public hearing or not. We could look at the particulars and we can argue about that all day long, and we will moving forward, I'm sure, and decide what's right and what's wrong. The only thing where this vote should be about today is whether we hold a public hearing or not, okay? We have BPEP, we have APA, we have everybody screaming at us saying, we need the public process. They want a seat at the table. People in my community want a seat at the table. If we decide to vote this through today, what we are saying to the public is, we know better than you. We don't need to hear from you. We're just going to do it anyway. Okay? It is irresponsible. And it is the message that it sends to the public that we're going to take it on ourselves. You want to talk about a scary proposition. This 9-member council body is going to take it on ourselves without listening to the people and the organizations who've been working around this for years and years. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to be clear that even if we would call for a public hearing or post agenda, it would die today at the end of this session. So the time to have it would have been last week or the week before, or any time throughout the 50 some days that it sat on the table. That would have been the time for anyone. Could have got 25 signatures. They could have approached us. We would have been happy to have it. But I do also know that Reverend Burgess talks and works with some people as he writes legislation, including our police department. So with that said, we would be able to do it, but it would die at the end of today. So we wouldn't even be able to have it. So, but I think going forward in the next session, we absolutely need to have, because they did leave a room in this bill to make changes, to make amendments, to do some things, and we always can amend bills. But I would say, I think going forward, we will have that public process and a task force working together. It shouldn't be that we work together just on this bill. We should be working together throughout the year. With that said, is there anything else from members? Okay, seeing none, the bill's not ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill. Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 8, noes 1.
Bill having received the legally required number of votes, it's finally passed. That moves us on to Councilman Anthony Coghill, Committee on Public Works. Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Coghill presents Bill number 2370, report of the Committee on Public Works for December 20th, 2021 with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 307, resolution further amending resolution number 797 entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2018 Capital Budget and the 2018 CDBG Program, the 2018 through 2023 Capital Improvement Program by reducing Smallman Street reconstruction by $7,000 and increasing bike share by $7,000. Bill number 2308, resolution providing for a settlement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with work on the Central Business District Signal Phase 2 project with a total project cost of $5,304,001, of which is already appropriated and spent, and the municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs not to exceed $13,465.59, an increase of $3,465.59 from the previously executed agreement. Bill number 2309, resolution providing for an amended reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the addition of the final design, right-of-way, and utility phases of the Swine Bridge project, and providing for the payment not to exceed $2,350,000 and $1,300,000 increase from the previously executed agreement, reimbursable at 95%, and the municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs not to exceed $4,000, an increase of $2,500 from the previously executed agreement. Bill number 2310, resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the Pittsburgh pedestrian wayfinding project, providing for the payment of costs not to exceed $1,400,000. This resolution serves to authorize only the reimbursement agreement at a cost of $0. Future resolutions will authorize the project's specific service agreements. Bill number 2311, resolution providing for a supplemental agreement with the Larson Design Group for costs associated with the West Ohio Street Bridge project, providing for the payment of costs not to exceed $125,112.90, an increase of $84,596.79 from the previously executed agreement. Bill number 2312, resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the Healthy Ride Electrified project through the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program. Bill number 2313, resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation through their Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program for costs associated with work on critical sidewalk gaps project and providing for the payment of costs not to exceed $980,000, federally reimbursable at 100%, and the municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs not to exceed $0. Bill number 2314, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code, Title IV, Public Place and Property, Article 2, telecommunications in the public right-of-way by amending and supplementing language to various sections, establishing certain general and specific standards related to the location, placement, construction, and maintenance of non-tower wireless communications facilities and small cell facilities, establishing certain general and specific standards for wireless communication facilities in the public right-of-ways, establishing certain general and specific standards for wireless communication facilities outside the public right-of-ways, and providing for definitions, providing for the enforcement of said regulations, and providing for an effective date. Bill number 2315, resolution amending resolution number 332 entitled authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works to enter into a professional services agreement between the city and Winston Design Development for architectural and engineering design services for a series of interior remodels for 6 fire stations within the city at a cost not to exceed $407,872.66 to the not to exceed amount of $702,769. Bill number 2357, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works to execute relevant agreements to receive grant funding from the URA for in-right park improvements and further providing for an agreement or the use of existing agreements and expenditures at a cost not to exceed $1 million.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That was a lot. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess,
Aye. Sorry, aye.
Aye.
Ms. Gross,
Aye.
Mr. Kraus,
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle,
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor,
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Mrs. Cal Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilman Bobby Wilson, Committee on Land Use and Economic Development.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Wilson presents Bill number 2371, report of the Committee on Land Use and Economic Development for December 2020, for December 20th, 2021, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 1815, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code Title IX zoning Article 4, Chapter 909, Plan Development Districts, Section 90901, Hazelwood Green Specially Planned District by amending certain text, deleting certain text, and or replacing certain text within the zoning code as follows. Bill number 2165, Resolution providing for the designation as a historic building under Title 11 of the Code of Ordinances, the certain site known as Engine Company 28, located at 700 Filbert Street in Shady Side in the 7th Ward. Bill number 2336, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of City Planning and the director of the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspection to enter into an agreement with the Allegheny County Conservation District with the intent clarifying roles and responsibilities related to erosion and sediment control on construction activities with significant earth disturbance. Bill number 2337, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of City Planning and the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections to enter into an agreement with the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority with the intent of delineating each party's obligations with respect to completion of each minimum control required for NPDES permits. Bill number 2338, resolution further amending resolution number 863 entitled Adopting and Approving the 2019 Capital Budget, the 2019 CDBG Program, and the 2019 through 2024 Capital Improvement Program so as to reallocate Emergency Solutions Grant CARES Act funding and authorize a subsequent agreement to provide emergency shelter services, street outreach services, rental assistance, and housing relocation and stabilization services and/or data collection activities. Bill number 2339, resolution amending resolution number 804 entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2019 Capital Budget, the 2019 CDBG Program, and the 2019 through 2024 Capital Improvement Program so as to reduce community-based organizations by $4,300.29, increase neighborhood economic development by $4,300.29, and authorize a subsequent agreement to revise a J. Edwards job number. Bill number 2340, resolution providing for an agreement with Strategy Solutions, Inc. to provide public engagement and citizen petition for the city's annual action plan and consolidated 5-year plan for HUD in an amount not to exceed $122,010. Bill number 2341, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Student Conservation Association, Inc. in the amount of $13,603.21 for sustainability fellowship services provided to the city for placement fees and public sector fellows. Bill number 2342, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections to enter on behalf of the city into a professional services agreement with Babcock Acoustics for sound engineering consulting services at an overall cost not to exceed $45,000. Bill number 2343, resolution further amending resolution number 675, adopting and approving the 2009 capital budget by transferring $45,807.63 from West Ohio Street Bridge to East Ohio Streetscape Planning and Design. Bill number 2344, resolution further amending resolution number 768 entitled Adopting and Approving the 2010 Capital Budget by transferring $4,192.37 of remaining funds from 2 District 1 specific capital projects to East Ohio Streetscape Planning and Design. Bill number 2361, resolution further amending resolution number 816 entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2016 Capital Budget and the 2016 CDBG Program, the 2016 through 2021 Capital Improvement Program by reducing Allegheny West by $7,530, reducing Cameron Welch Youth Baseball by $2,970, and increasing Community Alliance of Spring Garden East Georgetown by $10,500 and authorizing a subsequent agreement. Bill number 2362, resolution further amending resolution number 772 entitled Adopting and Approving the 2017 capital budget and the 2017 CDBG program, approving the 2017 through 2022 capital improvement program by reducing Allegheny West by $6,000, reducing Brighton Heights Senior Center by $2,500, and increasing Community Alliance of Spring Garden East Georgetown by $8,500 and authorizing a subsequent agreement. Bill number 2363, Resolution further amending Resolution number 797 entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2018 Capital Budget, the 2018 CDBG Program, and the 2018 through 2023 Capital Improvement Program by reducing St. Ambrose Manor by $6,000, reducing District 1 DPW projects by $12,270, and increasing Community Alliance of Spring Garden East Town by $18,270, and authorizing a subsequent agreement. Bill number 2364, resolution further amending Resolution number 863 entitled Resolution Approving and Adopting and Approving the 2019 Capital Budget, the 2019 CDBG Program, the 2019 through 2024 Capital Improvement Program by reducing Historic Town Development Corp. by $5,000 and increasing Community Alliance of Spring Garden each Town by $5,000 and authorizing a subsequent agreement.
Well, thank you. You have heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills?
Yes, Madam President, sorry.
Yes.
I have to make a motion to amend Bill 1815. The amendments were sent to council members, I believe, yesterday. This is the Hazelwood Green amendments on that site.
Thank you. And we have a second?
Second.
Councilman Kraus, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, any discussion on the amended bills? The bills. Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Strasburger.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Cal Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. That moves us on to Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, Chair on Urban Recreation.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Reverend Burgess present Bill number 2372, report of the Committee on Urban Recreation for December 20th, 2021 with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 2299, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works and Department of Parks and Recreation to enter into a certain corporation agreement amendment as further provided herein with a Pittsburgh Park Conservancy with the intent of extending and expanding the term and scope of the existing agreement. Bill number 2300, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties within the Hill District and Polish Hill neighborhoods from the Greenways for Pittsburgh program and other adjacent vacant properties under city ownership to be formalized and adopted as a city park. Bill number 2301, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties within the Overbrook neighborhood from the Greenways for Pittsburgh program and other adjacent vacant properties under city ownership to be formalized and adopted as a city park. Bill number 2302, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties within the South Side Slopes and Allentown neighborhoods from the Greenways for Pittsburgh program and other adjacent vacant properties under city ownership to be formalized and adopted as a city park. Bill number 2303, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties within the Brookline neighborhood from the Greenways for Pittsburgh program and other adjacent vacant properties under city ownership to be formalized and adopted as a city park. Bill number 2304, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties within the Beachview and Mount Washington neighborhoods from the Greenways for Pittsburgh program and other adjacent vacant properties under city ownership to be formalized and adopted as a city park. Bill number 2305, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties under the Hazelwood, Glen Hazel, and Greenfield neighborhoods from the Greenways for Pittsburgh program and other adjacent vacant properties under city ownership to be formalized and adopted as a city park. Bill number 2306, resolution authorizing the Department of Parks and Recreation to enter into a community partner access agreement with the Poor Law at no cost for the use of the Berwyn Community Center in order to provide recreational and community-focused activities.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You have heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of their passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Strasburger.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
L. Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And now we move on to Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, Committee on Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilperson Strasburger presents Bill number 2373, Report of the Committee on Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management for December 20th of 2021 with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 2335, Resolution amending Resolution number 616, providing for an agreement and a lease between the city and First Vehicle Services, pursuant to which First Vehicle will furnish all work and services needed to manage and maintain the city's vehicle fleet. Cost shall not exceed $66,689,914 over a 7-year period.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Cal Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilwoman Deborah Gross, Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs for our last committee of the day and of the legislative season.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Gross presents Bill number 2374, Report of the Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs for December 20th, 2021 with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 2316, Resolution authorizing the URA to acquire all the city's right, title, and interest, if any, in and to the publicly owned property in the 13th ward of the city designated the Deed Registry Office of Allegheny County, 623 North Homewood Avenue, Council District Number 9. Bill number 2317, Resolution authorizing the URA to acquire all the city's right, title, and interest, if any, in and to the publicly owned property in the 26th ward of the city, designated in the Deed Registry Office, east side of Perrysville Avenue, just north of North Charles Street, Council District Number 6. Bill number 2318, resolution approving an execution of a deed by and between the URA and the city for the sale of Block 88L, Lot 150 in the 14th Ward, Frick Park Expansion, Council District Number 5. Bill number 2319, resolution authorizing the URA to acquire all the city's right, title, and interest, if any, in and to the publicly owned property in the 12th Ward of the city, the north side of Larimer Avenue, east of Meadow Street, Council District Number 9. Bill number 2320, resolution approving an execution of a deed by and between the URA and the city for the sale of Block 88G in various lots, Block 88H, lots 20, 63, and 72, and Block 88R in the 14th Ward of the city, 9 Mile Run, Greenway Expansion, Council District Number 5. Bill number 2348, resolution calling on the URA to report to the City Council all ongoing programs and initiatives that support the city's food system.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of their passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
L. Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. That moves us on to motions and resolutions, and I have some meeting announcements. Offices will be closed this Friday, December 30th, in observance of the New Year holiday. Next week, council will hold our swearing-in ceremony on Monday, January 3rd at 10 a.m. Also, council will hold our regular and standing committees meeting on Wednesday, January 5th at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. respectively. To register to speak, fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by 9 a.m. Wednesday morning for the regular meeting and by 12:30 p.m. for the standing committees meeting. You may also call the city clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Is there anything from members?
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman Kraus.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize and thank you for astounding leadership over the last 2 years during very, very difficult times. 23 of the 24 months that you have served as council president have been impacted by COVID. And today, once again, we are meeting remotely because of a resurgence of a strain of the virus that is becoming very dangerous. And having served in that position for a number of years, I have some understanding of the pressures the position puts on one, but you have had the additional pressure of leading us through a pandemic as well as serving as our president. So I think it's only proper to take a moment to recognize your leadership over the last 2 years during very, very difficult times. You have certainly stepped up to the challenge. And I, for one, will be honored to put your name in nomination on Monday to serve a second term as the president of Pittsburgh City Council. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I feel like I was just eulogized. Thank you. Thank you so much. But I want to be on it. You know as well as I do that you have all helped me so much and over the 2 years. And without this amazing clerk's office and our sergeant at arms and now our solicitor and our IMP department and everybody that helps us here, we could not do this. And I know I definitely could not have done it without all of you. And so I just want to thank all of you for being so amazing. I wish the public knew how hard you all work, how much you all care. I know it's easy to sit here and week after week, listen to public comment or see things in social media where one of us is being attacked, all of us is being attacked, the administration is being attacked, the incoming administration is being attacked, but people don't see what we do. That is so amazing when you work together late at night, early in the morning, on weekends, through holidays, and just doing the best you always can for your constituents and the people that we serve collectively of the city of Pittsburgh. So thank you all for everything that you do every single day. Thank you. Anything else from members? Oh, and I forgot to mention our budget office, who really helps me a lot. So thank you to them as well. Can I have a motion to excuse me? I have no absent members, approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Everyone be safe out there this week. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.